Welcome to your next Chills Before Sleep. Story 1. My name's Robert. I'm 26 years old and originally from Florida. Florida is one of the hottest states in the U.S. After our day was finished at the university, we often went to the water park nearby to cool off. This water park was one of the biggest and most popular parks in the country. Exams were approaching, and stress had drained me of energy. It was a hot summer day, and I decided to borrow my dad's car to go with my friends to the water park. I was really excited to go swimming again. I thought it would get my mind off of my exams, but who knew it would turn out to be one of the most traumatic days of my life. I convinced some of my friends to come along. They were just as excited as I was. My best friend's little brother named Julian came running towards us. He wanted to join in as well. After a deep sigh and a long period of silence glancing at each other, I told him that he could come with us this time. As happy as he was, he screamed with joy and jumped right into the back of my car. Upon reaching the park, we found it to be packed with people of all ages, from toddlers to full-grown adults. It wasn't a surprise as it was exam season for many, and just a really hot day. Basically, everyone wanted to take a break. We went to the changing rooms and heard a group of teens talking about the colossal waterslide. One of my friends also suggested that we should give this big slide a try. The colossal was the fastest and tallest ride in the park. We changed into our swimsuits and made our way through the front entrance of the park. We went to the ticket booth for the colossal waterslide and saw the huge slide in front of us. The design of this ride was insane. It had a steep, tall slide which was closed on all four sides in the first half, and then became fluted, where the riders would go through a curvy, snake-like slide while eventually falling into a shallow pool of water at the bottom. That ride was so huge it overshadowed all of the other rides in the park. When looking at the slide, it made me anxious, but I managed to keep my composure in front of my friends. As we lined up for the slide, I saw the sign with instructions. Anyone aged 16 or older with a minimum height of 60 inches was allowed to enter the slide. Anyone who didn't meet these minimum requirements were not permitted to ride. I thought to myself, this slide is strictly prohibited for anyone younger or shorter. I immediately looked at my best friend's little brother, Julian, who was only 13. I mean, he was larger for his age and may be able to pass as a 16-year-old. The whole group started climbing, and I anxiously followed. We were seated in a tube of 4 people and were told to take hold of the handlebars. The lifeguard noticed that I was scared and assured me that the ride was going to be perfectly safe. It was a slow start and my friends were screaming and shouting joyfully, while I was too scared to even open my mouth. We were slowly moving to the steep portion of the ride, and my heart started beating faster and faster. We slid tremendously fast through that portion, and I could see a light nearing us. My eyes were wide open from the shaky ride, and my body was still as a tomb. Once we were out of the first half, we drifted rapidly through the curves to the point where the tube almost lost control. It made my stomach churn. It was getting harder and harder to keep hold of the handlebars. Suddenly, we hit a curve with such a sturdy force that Julian went flying into the air and off the slide. We yelled out his name in agony. I looked back and saw his body just falling down. My eyes couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe this. My body went numb. While the ride kept going on, the last seconds felt like ages as we dropped into the pool at the end. We jumped off our tube and started running towards the point of the incident. We heard a lot of screaming from the people reacting to the terror that played out in seconds. I saw on the concrete floor a squashed body, which I knew to be my best friend's little brother. The employees cleared a path for the ambulance, and we were blocked by the park staff when we tried to approach the scene. My best friend was in total shock and almost passed out from what just happened. The paramedics arrived and took control of the situation. I knew there was no way he could have survived to drop that high. The incident was so overwhelming that I went into a state of shock as well, and the next thing I remember was Julian's death being announced on national television. The ride was later investigated and shut down for good. That event left me traumatized and still haunts me to this day. There's nothing I could have done. I was powerless. The feeling that I was somehow responsible for it makes things even worse. I keep thinking to myself, am I the one to blame for Julian's death? Should I have stopped him? I never thought this is how the day would end. For now, I know that whenever I see a water slide, I'll be reminded of my little friend in heaven. Story 2. The next story happened in a water park around 2013. My name is Todd, and I'm 30 years old. Back when I was a teen, I used to work in a water park as a lifeguard. People think being a lifeguard is easy, but it's not, because the experiences I'm about to share with you will make you change your mind. In my first year, I used to operate the wave pool alongside 2 other lifeguards. When summer arrived, the park used to be loaded with people and inevitably the wave pool. The pool was approximately 4 foot deep, and there was a height limit to who could take part in the ride. One day, just after my shift began, the pool was congested. After a few minutes of starting the wave machine, I noticed a lot of yelling and screaming. Something was off. A person from the pool approached me and told me he saw the water turning red at the other side. I quickly stopped the ride and jumped in to check it out. Upon arriving, I saw an unconscious young boy with his face covered in blood. He had been smashed into the side wall of the pool as a result of the area being crowded. I pulled him out and had someone call an ambulance. He was taken to the nearest hospital. 2 days later, I was told by one of my colleagues that the young boy suffered from 2 broken ribs, broken vertebrae, and a broken nose, and that he was bound to a wheelchair for the rest of his life. Another event that comes to my mind was one day when I was operating one of the tallest rides in the park. My job was to help people into the ride and by giving them a slight tug. Then came this young man with a girl, who was presumably his girlfriend. To try to impress his lady, he ignored all of my instructions and proceeded to go headfirst into the slide. It did not end well for him. He crashed his head in one of the curves, which knocked him unconscious and sent him flying off the slide, and luckily he was caught by the safety net. He was taken to the hospital, but later died due to brain damage. His family tried to sue us, but lost the case, with the man's girlfriend and a few others who were waiting in line being witnesses of how I tried to stop him. But he kept resisting. I can also recall, in the kids' pool, there is usually no need for a lifeguard, as the parents keep an eye on their children. One time, a couple came running towards me and said their daughter was missing. I began to search and noticed a dark spot in the big pool where the parents came from. I quickly dived in and pulled her out as fast as I could and began CPR. God knows how long she had been down there. Her lips turned blue and a hefty amount of water was pouring out of her mouth and nose. She was not showing any signs of life. Help arrived, but it was already too late. I've seen too many deaths. I was going crazy. I left that job and never thought of taking one like that again. Thank you for watching this video. Have you experienced a similar situation or another scary experience? Don't hesitate to submit your story by email or in the comments section down below. Ready for your next Chills Before Sleep? Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for us to provide you with more scary stories. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to enable all notifications. Be the first one to get the chills.